Hello, everybody. Um, yeah, I just wanted to get back on, get another video, get the ball rolling again, as I am almost completely recovered from the cold that I've had, and like so many other people are going through right now. So I wish you wellness if you happen to be wrestling with that cold. That being said, this past couple of weeks, I've had invitations to speak on a radio show. However, as you can imagine, I haven't been able to do that because of my sore throat. But fortunately, last night I did have that opportunity. Now, I did not have an opportunity, however, to notify everybody of that. And because it was kind of a last minute thing, but had a really good opportunity last night. A lot of fun talking with the folks from the Bulla Maste radio station that's in Langley, British Columbia, and that particular station serves the Fijian, South Asian communities, and other communities there in British Columbia and all over Canada, as well as abroad. So basically, whoever tunes into that station, and it's an online station. We were also going live on Facebook at that particular time last night, and that was a lot of fun. So the station, like I said, is a smaller station serving a very specific community, a very wonderful community. It was an honor to be with them last night, and honored to be able to share with their audience of about 40,000 people, and that was not counting the people who were tuned in on Facebook. So that conversation that I had last night is posted, is available on the Bula Masti radio website, on their website, I believe, but I just watched it on Facebook. So if you want to see it and listen to it, it is a video. So just, go to the, punch in, search for, if you will, on Facebook, Bula Masti. That's Bula, then Masti. So Bula Masti Radio, and that'll get you right to it. And I did make an agreement with them that I would be doing a monthly radio show with them. And the next one, I believe, is I think it's December 3rd, if I'm correct. It'll be the first Monday of every month until we decide to do something different. They did offer me a weekly show, but I've got a lot of other things going on, and so I definitely wanted to commit, though, to continue speaking to that audience. And again, you can access that online and listen in as well live. So anyway, really enjoying these opportunities. What I wanted to speak about today. Now, the holiday season is getting here, right? We had the Canadian Thanksgiving here in October 10th or what have you. And then we have the United States Thanksgiving in November, and then of course Christmas is here. So it's starting to pick up steam. Christmas, New Year's Eve, etc. And I wanted to share with you a story that I share during this season with my clients and in the parent leadership group. And it's a story that I hope many of you can relate to, because when these holidays start to show up, excuse me, still a little bit of my cough here, a lot of people become a bit of a humbug, a bit of a Scrooge. These people who tend to not enjoy the holidays for whatever reason, or the holidays bring them stress, or the holidays just don't seem to mean much to them. They don't seem to really care about them. They sometimes wish that the holidays would just be over with. And it reminded me of a person, a friend that I had many years ago, but we were having a conversation in my living room in front of a fire, And this was a good friend, and there was a Christmas tree up that I had in my living room, and so here we were chatting, and and she was telling me about how she didn't enjoy Christmas and the holidays, and that she couldn't wait until they were over with. And I said, I mean, that's really unfortunate that you feel that way. I said, but you want me to tell you why? If I could explain this to you in a way that you could see things differently and feel differently about it, would you want to hear that? So can I tell you why? And she said, yeah, go ahead. And and I said, okay, here, let me just get to the point here. Now this point that I'm about to share with you, that I shared with her, it's a bit of a secret, because what it does is it begins to speak into what kind of the capacity of a mature mind. And one of the capacities of a mature mind is to think paradoxically. To think paradoxically. And so, for instance, paradox is something like less is more. See, to the immature mind can't understand that. What do you mean less is more? More is more. And so that's where you see immature people always wanting more, and nothing can ever satisfy them. Now that immaturity can be with somebody who's in a grown-up body, if you will, but it doesn't mean that their heart is mature, that their mind is mature. Because they're just consumers. They just want. Nothing seems to be satisfying. And if it is, it's only satisfying for a moment. And then they want more and more and more and more. And so this could be a person could be experiencing this materially, that they just want more and more and more material. They're shoppers. They buy, spend. Or this could be somebody in a relationship, in a marriage, that nothing's good enough. They just want more from their partner. They're never happy. They're never content. They want more. It could be a parent who just wants more and more and more from their children, and they're never content. So this more idea. And that's very closely linked to narcissism and egocentricity. So narcissism is when a person thinks that they're just super special, because if you're super special, well, then you're entitled to a lot. And you're entitled to the best. And so you have to keep, as soon as you have it, it's not enough. You always want. Whatever you want, whatever's going to satisfy you exists way down the road, and you have to have it. And egocentricity, of course, is when somebody thinks the world should revolve around them. So when you want, and you want from the outside world, and then you feel entitled to that, then you also feel entitled to that the world should give to you. That the people in your life, that your children should satisfy you. So this, this story that I'm about to tell kind of speaks into those two areas. It's the area of paradox, which is the mature mind understands the secret of paradox, but you also see the immature mind, the entitled mind at work. So one could say that really what one needs to do in order to appreciate the season is to break off from, to put some distance between yourself and that feeling of entitlement, that narcissism, that egocentricity. How do you deflate that? And that's what I had offered to this person. I said to her, here we are. We're sitting here in front of a fire enjoying ourselves. And you know what? You see right over there, there's a Christmas tree. I said, you know what? And there's a bunch of presents underneath too. Cool, huh? I said, what's even cooler is that some of those presents have your name on them. And she kind of just didn't really excite her too much. And I said, yeah, but some of those presents have your name on them. I said, but you know what the truth is? The truth is that you don't deserve any of those. You're not entitled to any of those. You don't deserve them. And in truth, I don't deserve what's there either. You see, this is the paradox. This is what I'm telling you right now. This is the paradox that she couldn't understand, or that she needed to understand in order to deflate the sense of entitlement and to begin to appreciate what was really before her. Because in truth, I mean, we really need to get this as human beings. We like to say it as some sort of cliche, but we don't set up camp there. We don't deepen ourselves in it, because if we could, boy, some really great things would come out. And what is this place that we, this position we need to take, this place we need to set up camp at? It's that we're not perfect. Like I said, people like to say it. Oh yeah, no one's perfect. We're all just trying to do our best, but none of us are perfect. The truth is that as human beings, like, we're super imperfect. We make a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I mean, you think in a day, how many times do you daydream? How many times do you lose your focus? How many times do you drift? How many times do you want to cut off somebody in traffic? How many times are you cursing off people in traffic? How many, thoughts are going through your mind that are just not even close to being a reflection of truth and love? I mean, it's beyond counting. But yet, here we are living in the lap of luxury. Here we are. Here I was with my friends sitting here in front of a wonderful warm fire, and we have a roof over our heads, and Christmas tree with presents under there, and some of them even with our names on them. So she really needed to get real with the understanding that she didn't deserve any of those. She's not entitled to any of those. If we tallied up all the indulgences, all the, if you will, infractions, whatever you want to call them, all those things, that make her imperfect in any particular day, if we were really keeping score, she wouldn't be entitled to any of those. That's the truth. But I said to her, now that you can see that you don't deserve any of those gifts, and yet they're there, in spite of this, in spite of you, in spite of your imperfections, you're still getting gifts. Isn't that a bit of a miracle? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that worth shouting about, like, enjoy? Isn't this worth celebrating? See, it's that level of honesty and accountability is what opens the door for excitement and awe and to see miracles. See, that's what this holiday season is about. It's about awe. It's like when you were a little kid, you just looked around and with awe at the twinkling lights, and you were just like blown away that there were Christmas presents under the tree for you, and you were especially blown away if you were a bad kid, excuse me, during the year, and parents would say, well, you may get a lump of coal. I don't know, and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I might get that lump of coal. Yeah, I haven't, kind of always acted in the best. But then you get up in that morning and there are all the presents, right? Amazing. You're going, whoa, yes, it's party time, right? It's party time. Because it's a miracle. It's amazing. And you think, how did I get these gifts if I didn't deserve them? Well, that must mean that I'm loved beyond anything, that I've been forgiven for what I've done. That I'm just being loved on amazingly beyond what I deserve. And you can feel that warm fuzziness of it. That's what we call the spirit of the season. The spirit. But people can't feel that spirit if they're too full of themselves, if they think that they're so entitled to things. That they have somehow, done enough good deeds to deserve that. It reminds me of the story, and this is another story that I tell parents in my parent leadership group all the time, because people are always asking, How do we bring love back to the relationships? How do we bring love back to our families? It seems like we all need to do something. What do we need to do? I said, you've done too much. That's the problem. There's nothing you need to do, really. It's not a matter of doing, it's a matter of being. What do you need to be? You need to be humble. Humility, the number one, will restore love. Well, how do I achieve humility? Through accountability. And here there's a great kind of Christian recipe for this, if you've ever kind of read through that at all or what have you. And it's a well-known story. It's a story of what we call the two debtors. And the story is a story of someone who had a lot of money, and they loaned this money out to two different people. And one person was loaned, let's say, $50 million, and the other person was loaned $5,000, and neither of them could pay the money back. And the person who had the money, who was rich, forgave both debts. In other words, just said, hey, forget it. You're good. I got you. You don't have to pay it back. But you have to understand, the context, a bit of the context of the story, which was back when this story, when this situation was recorded, they had debtors' prisons. So if you couldn't pay the money, you were indebted. You were imprisoned. Not just you, but your entire family, until that debt was paid off. Everything you owned, everybody in your life, your family was imprisoned. So there was a lot at stake. A lot, more than we in this current day could understand. But if you could wrap your mind around that for a moment, imagine yourself in debt, and if you couldn't pay that back, you were thrown into prison, and everybody in your family taken to prison as well and enslaved until that debt was paid off. So as you can imagine, the person who owed the $5,000 thought to themselves probably, okay, well, if I work hard enough, and I could probably scrape up most of the money, and even if I did have to kind of sell everything and maybe even work for this person, be enslaved or whatever, I could probably get that paid off in a short period of time. The other person, of course, is saying to themselves, oh my God, we'll be in prison forever, for generations to come. There was so much at stake. So the question then is, how would each person who was forgiven their debt, how would each person respond to the person who forgave the debt? Well, as you might think, the person who had a $5,000 debt and could probably pay most of it off and then kind of work the rest off in a short period of time probably said, hey, really appreciate it. Really appreciate your generosity. Thank you. And they would go on their way. But the person who was forgiven the $50 million debt, that person would be full of joy, would be full of love, would be full of generosity, would be full of appreciation. And that person, not out of duress, but out of love, would very likely fall to their knees to this person who forgave them that huge debt, and they would likely make a vow. They might say something like, whenever you need me, call me. Whatever's mine is yours. My family is your family. Is there any way I can help you? They would be willing, joyfully willing, to serve this person, to be there for this person, to try to reciprocate the love that was there. There would be a tremendous amount of love in that relationship. But it comes through the paradox of understanding how deeply in debt we are. how significantly out of integrity we are, how significantly ignorant we are. See, that is a secret to maturity. It's paradoxical. The more you know, the more you don't know. The more we know, the more we don't know. And we live in a world right now that we just want to obtain and obtain and consume and consume and consume and consume, and then we think we're entitled to everything. And this, I'm going to say, is probably significant in why there are such sharp increases in anxiety, depression, and suicide right now, and in addiction. And if you don't know that this is going on right now, know it now. Thousands of people are dying right now from mental health issues, from anxiety, depression, and suicide. Thousands of people right now are dying because of drug overdoses. We need to really be honest about the state of humanity and the state of ourselves. To not think too highly of ourselves. To be honest about how unconscious, willfully unconscious we are. How indulgent we are. How entitled we feel. Because like with this friend that I was describing, the bigger the sense of entitlement, the more depression. How can you be happy? When have your greatest moments of happiness, if you will, showed up, of joy? I mean, if you go out and you work today and you're given $100, are you happy? Yeah, it feels good to get some cash, huh? But you're not in any level of joy. But what if you were just given $100? Because somebody was incredibly generous to you. Would that not make you more happy? You see, that's the idea. The immature mind likes to live in this world where it feels like it pulls itself up on its own bootstraps and therefore deserves so much. And then when it gets what it thinks it deserves, it's never satisfying. It's on to the next and on to the next and on to the next. Consume, consume, consume. Never in the moment, never experiencing any awe or wonder or joy or appreciation. So the doorway, to real appreciation and joy, and deep appreciation and joy, is through humility. And the good news is that you don't need to go out and break your back. You don't need to go out and do anything. It's right in front of you. If you take an honest inventory of your life and see how many times a day you're out of integrity, and what you'd see is that amount, that tally is huge. But you'd also see, oh my gosh, I still have children who love me. I still have a partner who loves me. I still have an employer who has an open door for me. I can walk down the street and somebody will smile at me. If my car breaks down, out on the road, somebody will likely pull over and help me. And all those things become a miracle. All those things become an act of grace. In other words, we just live in this massive kind of ocean of forgiveness. Like they say, it's like a fish looking for water. You're in it, but you can't see it unless you stand in the right place. You have the right vantage point. And the vantage point is one of humility. In humility, we get that kind of view. And this is what all wisdom teaching offers us. All decent wisdom teachings always have a cornerstone of humility. Why? Because there's just a human tendency to inflate our egos. The narcissism, the egocentricity, and the grandiosity are just built into our psyche. And so we need to be in a discipline that continually offers humility. Now, of course, the immature mind, the immature person does not like that. But a mature mind seeks it because it opens up the door to heaven. It opens up the door to miracles. And this is what the spirit of this season can help focus. So, yes, go and enjoy the season. But enjoy the season in humility. Enjoy the season in the awareness that this is all a gift and not one you particularly deserve. But that's the good news. Because you can be in awe and wonder, where then does this gift come from? You know, this, that you're this fish swimming in the ocean of grace and forgiveness. Where did this all come from? You're in awe. So enjoy the season. And if you're an adult, if you're a parent, lead your family, lead the community in humility. If you want your children to really experience deep joy and satisfaction, then show them a path of humility and lead in that path of humility. Share this story with them. I'm sure you have similar stories. Sit at the dinner table and just share this insight. I just realized that I've taken so much for granted, and I have this thing going on inside me about entitlement and indulgence, and and I just want to get real with myself and just appreciate everybody, because I'm not really all that. I'm not that impressive. I mean, this is not only a gift to yourself and to your family. This is a gift to the world if you can pull that off. Because look what's happening in the world right now: violent protests, divisiveness, special interest groups pounding on the table that they want their rights, that they're entitled to this and that. It's one thing to fight for rights and do it in humility, but what's going on out there right now has no humility in it at all. That's why there's violence that goes along with it. It's like these folks out there who want people to feel loved and included and all this kind of stuff, and it's like they want it so bad that they're willing to tear everybody apart. They're literally willing to incite violence and to conduct violent activity in order to achieve it. Like, how absurd is that? We need leadership that moves forward and addresses these things in humility. So, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll join me on some of these radio shows that I'll be doing over the next couple of months. Please go to the Bola Masti Facebook page and watch the radio interview from last night. That would have been November 28th. And leave some positive comments for us. Keeps tuning in to the YouTube channel here. And I just posted a couple of weeks ago or a week ago a video on privacy and confidentiality and solitude, and the importance of that to the human psyche, human development and maturity, and how our privacy is really kind of under attack right now. There are many forces, especially driven by entitlement and indulgence, but also then technology is kind of the sword of the immature right now. I mean, So many different ways, technology tracks us, and it's just, are diminishing our, what I call our sacred space, the space we need to reflect, to make new choices. So anyway, look at that and let me know what you're thinking. So have a good day, and like I said, enjoy the holidays. Take care.